How do we get people queuing up to want to work with us, and how do we do it online? And I'm going to bust some myths, but I'm also going to tell you what you need to do this. From decades of helping other people do it, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. So let's just think about this. What's our ideal perfect scenario? Our perfect scenario is people messaging us, people reaching out to us, filling in our inquiry forms, going to our website. We want people to want to buy from us. So we're going to talk about what do we actually need to do to make that happen. That's all what we're going to talk about. And it is simply this: how do we make, or how do we create demand for us that people want to work with us? So I'm going to break this down. And in order to understand how to do something, I've got one of these brains where it's easier to go why something isn't happening, shows me what I need to do. So if we think about it right now, whether we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, there are people seeing us who basically could buy from us. We all have these people, whether it be 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. There are people around us in our social world that could, if they so choose, work with us right now. And I've had this, you've had this, people who you could help them and they just don't get it. They don't buy. And then weirdly, they go and buy from somebody else. We've all had these scenarios. So is it about price? I would say most of the time, the reason why people are not buying has nothing to do with price. There are people who pay £500 for X, and there are people who pay £5,000 for X. So when we strip it down, it's not about pricing that incentivizes people to buy. In fact, we should probably disregard that altogether. It's like an end of the process issue. Why are people not lining up? And I'm going to state the obvious. They don't see why they have to, and they don't see why they have to right now. Fundamentally, if we're not getting people queuing up, right, it's not that we're a bad person. It's not that we don't know what we're doing. It's we are not doing the work to help people see why they need us and why they need us now. Yeah. There's no need in their world. They don't need to spend the money. It's not essential they spend the money with us. It's not essential they spend the money at all. So think about it like this. A lot of people are online telling people about their business, but they're not building desire for it. They're not building desire for it. Demand is built on what people want. Demand is motivation. It's people going, I want this. And so if we want people to want us, to want to work with us, to want to invest, to want to pay us, we have to tap into what they want. If we want people to want us, we have to understand what they want and be able to give it to them. So demand really is quite simple in the sense of we have got to show people that we have an answer to a problem they want to solve. Now, that's not just posting. That's when you think about your social media posting, when you think about all the things that you're doing online, honest question, how much of your activity is thinking about how it's building demand for your business? Or is it just you're posting because you need to communicate something? You've got a schedule to keep up. Are you creating demand? Are you making people want you? Yeah. It's not about activity. It's about how you make people feel. Yeah. It's not about like logic. It's about prompting people to take action. And it's not telling them to take action. It's making them feel that they need to take action. So let's just think about what this is. You have demand for your services, for you as an individual, when people see you're the answer. When people see you're the answer. That's not telling them you're the answer. That's helping them see it. Telling people you're the answer is dead easy because you just go, I'm the answer to this problem, right? And to a degree, if you repeat that over and over and over again, that will stick. But if you want people to pre-decide before they've even spoke to you that you are the answer, you have to do 3 things to create it. And I've talked about this before, the gap. You've got to solve a problem that's painful for them and help them achieve a result. There's a place they want to get to, and there's a place they want to leave. You have to be able to understand that place they're in, understand the place they want to get to, and not just show you, I can get you there, show them the gap exists. The gap between where they are right now and where they want to be is not just a, hey, I can help you get across that bridge. I can build that demand bridge. I can help you solve that problem. It's actually helping them see that they can't live, like agitating that the gap exists in the first place. You know, I'm guilty of this and you'll be guilty of this. That sometimes we go through life and we're not really thinking about what we're doing. We're just coasting. We're just on autopilot. And sometimes when we see something, I'll give you an example. When I buy a new car, I've got a red car at the moment, metallic red car. When I buy a car, I notice, because I bought that car, I notice other cars like that. And it feels like on the road, there are way more cars on the road because of that. It's not that there's more red cars on the road. There's not more make and model of my car on the road because I bought a car. It's because I am now attuned to seeing it. And so one of the things we've got to do is not just say, here's the problem, do you want to solve it? Yes, we have to have a credible solution. Yes, we have to have a solution that works for them and in their situation. But actually, we've got to expose the gap. In some senses, and you might not like the phraseology of this, but you're agitating your prospects that they see the gap and they've got to reach a point where they go, I refuse to operate, to live, to exist this gap anymore. I'm done. I don't want this gap anymore. I got the problem. But it's the motivation of those two things together, the pain of the problem and the desire for the solution. Those two things together force people to take action when they realize I cannot keep living, operating, running, existing, whatever it is, with this gap being there. In other words, where they are right now becomes intolerable and they have to go to that other place. That's not a post. That's a process. You've got to take people down. That they're sick and tired of being where they are and they want to go somewhere else, to another desired outcome, another place. And our job as providers, as service providers, is to help them close that gap and get to that place, to create that journey for them. That's what our services do. Our services are the vehicle that take them from where they are to where they want to be. But if they don't see the gap, if they're not frustrated by the distance between where they are and where they want to be, they can't appreciate the value of you bringing them there. So that gap is so important. You can't just assume that people will put that together. It's the tension of those two spaces that really, really help people get motivated. You're agitating them because what you're saying is, look at the prize that's on offer if you can get to this destination. Everything you want is at this destination, but you've got this gap in the way. And so if you don't solve the gap, you're going to stay there. You're going to stay there. And that's tricky to do without being too negative. And one of the things that a lot of Instagram and influencers are very good at is using aspiration against us. So they show, even sometimes faked, show their success, show their fake lives. And it's the comparison between where they are and where I am that makes me agitated to want to change. And I know that's unsettling and it's uncomfortable, but that is what motivates people when they see. It's a bit like, let's say your friend group and one of your friends does really, really well. You're in the same industry, really, really well, and way better than you at something, and they're more successful at you, but you're in the same industry, same role. The fact that they are doing well at it kind of agitates you to want to do better. And influencers do this very, very well. But we've got to do a little bit of it, ethically do it. And don't lie, don't cheat, don't fake, but ethically show people where they could be, because that is what's called the cost of doing nothing. In other words, the maths, the mental arithmetic in our heads of, I want to be there, but I'm stuck here, and basically making that sum go, this is painful to see. It's like your nose is being rubbed in it. Yeah, and I know this is an uncomfortable way of talking about it. It was probably the cleanest way to help explain it. When our noses are rubbed in it and we see other people doing well and we're still grappling with the problem, it motivates us to go, I'm going to do something about this. So demand is when we create an environment which doesn't manipulate people, but does take people on that journey to realize, I don't want to be in this place anymore. I want to be there, Dean's got a solution. Dean's got a way of doing that. I like what he says. I like what he shares. I know who he is. I trust him. And now Dean's got the answer. And we have to take responsibility for showing people first the problem they've got, why they've got it, where they want to be, helping them picture it, helping them see the gap between those two places, and then showing them how we can solve that gap and how we've done it for other people. That's really how you create demand, right? So what are the levers? Yeah, let's think about it. Demand comes from a problem they can feel, not just understand. So it's not about just logic, a solution that they can see and picture. Yeah, an end result, they can visualize, right? And then the gap that they can't kind of walk away from, between where they are and where they want to be. That comparison shows them the difference. That contrast between problem and outcome shows them there's work to be done. It exposes the need for what you do. When they see that they've got this pain here and this problem and this end result, when you help them see those two things in comparison, they know that something's missing, and so they then start to pay attention more because they want to close that gap, which is how your service comes in demand. So what are the things that we need to do? Well, number one is our positioning. Our offer, our targeting, our messaging all needs to align with that problem, that outcome, and that gap. That is pretty critical and fundamental. If we're not doing that, we are not creating demand. We are just advertising, right? Demand is about teeing people up to see why they need you, why they need to work with you. And if you're not focused on that problem, that outcome, and that gap between those two places, that's what creates demand. So it's positioning, how you communicate your offer about problem and outcome and gap, how you communicate, which audience are you going after? Because each audience, different people will see that problem, that outcome, and that gap differently. Yeah, for some, it might be a big deal. For some, it might be a small deal. For some, they might not even see the gap. So who is that for? And your offer, what you're putting together, the packaging around your positioning needs to help people see that you've got a path, a process, a method to get people from problem, outcome, and close that gap. I was in a forum a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about this, and I like to chat to people in forums about things I'm selling, not to sell it, but to get feedback. And one of the things was said is, for somebody to really, really want your services, I thought it was a really good thought, actually. You have to show them how your service closes that gap and helps them close that gap as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible and as concretely as possible. So our positioning, from our LinkedIn banner, from our Instagram profile, from our content to our links to our overall message, all of that has to position us as the gap closer. You can't close a gap if you don't know what the gap is. You can't close the gap if you don't know what the problem is and you don't know what the outcome is. So if you want to be in demand, this is about forcing yourself to get clear. It's about forcing yourself to really think about, who am I helping here? Because you can't position yourself for everybody. If you want a queue of people wanting to work with you, a wait list, more clients than you can possibly handle, if you want to be able to pick and choose, you've got to create demand. And demand is built by doing those three things and positioning yourself as the go-to person for that problem, that outcome, and closing the gap between the two. Now, what else other than positioning helps us? Well, our message, what I call our magnetic message. In other words, it draws the right people. It pulls in the people who want what we've got to offer. So we have to talk about the pain of staying stuck. We have to talk about what it's doing. It's costing them to not keep doing it. Yeah. We have to agitate into that space. Yeah. And I know that some of you won't like this, but this is the reality. If you think you can just post content and people will magically come to you, you're deluded. People come to you because you've agitated that problem, that outcome. The cost of not taking action becomes so high for that person, they have to act. So you need to basically agitate that gap so that they feel that it's painful. It's like missed opportunity. Yeah. Like, look what you could have won. Look what you could have had. And I know that is probably a mindset shift for some of you, right? But what we're trying to do is say to people, the longer this goes on, the more days, the more weeks, the more months you're going to have to exist where you are. That's what we're trying to say to people. When I'm talking to people and going, you're not getting leads, I know most of the time the lead generation and getting clients issue is nothing to do with content. It's nothing to do with LinkedIn. It's to do with offer, audience, and message. It's positioning. Yeah, it's the positioning of what you're doing. That's really, there is some system stuff, but fundamentally it's positioning that's the problem. Now, I have got to agitate that gap. I've got to say to people, look, you can keep trying to do this yourself. You can keep buying course after course after course, but fundamentally, it doesn't matter how many courses you buy, how many tactics you try. The problem you have is a positioning problem that is showing up in the tactic, that's showing up on LinkedIn, that's showing up in your content. That's the problem that you have. And I've got to say to people, as long as you keep trying tactics without solving the real issue, you will keep struggling. It's just the way it rolls. It's just the way it is. So I've got to, and you've got to, help people see that every day they delay, they put off what they really want. And that is painful. That is really painful for people when they realize the future is not getting any closer. The solution is not getting any closer. And they realize they're not moving forward to something. I've got to change. I've got to do something to change this. Complacency, I said earlier about sometimes we go through life in autopilot. People can live all of their lives pursuing a goal and living in pain and not getting any closer to their end result, to their goals. But they keep chasing them, doing the same things over and over and over again, repeating the same cycles over and over again, and have no problem doing it until they realize all the things they're doing is making zero progress to the goal. And that then changes the way they think. So what I'm saying is I could go 10 years trying to get leads and bouncing along the bottom, struggling and trying different tactics over and over and over again, constantly having this recurring problem of not getting enough leads and clients, keep going round and round and round and round, trying different stuff. And I could go through that for 10 years and not make any actual progress to ending or solving that problem and getting consistent leads. I could go through that for 10 years and think that that's normal. And then somebody approaches me and wakes me up and makes me see that I've made no progress in 10 years. I am no further on 10 years later than I was 10 years ago. As soon as I realize that, I have to make dramatic change. I either settle or I make dramatic change. And this is true whether your clients are individuals or companies, that they have to see that nothing will change and they will keep repeating. They'll keep staying stuck unless they make a change. That's my job. That's your job. We've got to break them out of that space. Your audience has to feel like you're talking to them. Yeah, this magnetic message has to feel like it's talking to them. And this is where it's very difficult to talk to multiple audiences at once because they will feel that pain differently. Like getting leads and clients, for an example. If you're a solopreneur, small business, that will be a very emotive, personal issue. It will frustrate you. It will be a whole load of things. If you're a marketing manager in a company and you're not getting leads and clients from your efforts, you'll be worried about your career. You'll be worried about your job. You'll be worried about your competence. You'll be worried about what you're missing. But the emotion of it, the way it shows up, the problem, the way you talk about that problem will be slightly different. Yeah. And so you could have two people with the same problem, but because their roles and situations and circumstances are different, they will think about it and express it and talk about it differently. So your audience have to feel the pain, feel the desire. I did this thing a few years ago in a very dark place. I bought some lottery tickets. I know you're going to tell me I'm stupid. I know I'm stupid, but I bought some lottery tickets because there was a jackpot and everybody was talking about it. So I bought the jackpot. And I bought these tickets. And over the course of the weekend, me and the family got talking about what would you do if you won the jackpot? And I started to kind of think about it and visualize it. Well, I'll buy this house. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll put this much away. I'll send so much to family. I'd thought all this through in like real detail to the point where it was in my head. It was like real in my head. I had visualized this to the extent that it was almost real in my head. Winning was just a formality. And then I didn't win. And I felt it like a loss because I'd spent so much time thinking about it and obsessing about it. And part of what we're trying to do is help our audience feel their pain, show them their pain, but also show them the pain of not having the end result. It's not just the pain of where they are, it's the pain of not having the end result. They need to feel it. And that's done through stories, not stats. Yeah. You can't make people feel things with information. It's about helping them experience something so they feel it more deeply, because we're shaking people out of their complacency. We're waking them up to, you got to change. If you want results, if you want this, you've got to change. We're waking people up. And the only way you wake people up is help them see where they are. Think about it like the Matrix, yeah? Neo is in that kind of battery hen thing, the big robot thing, and he's fast asleep, generating energy under that liquid, and then they wake him up. And he sees the world, and it's a different world. We're trying to do that to our market, wake them up. We don't do that by campaigning and shouting and ranting. We get it by getting under people's skins, getting into their worlds, helping them feel it, helping them do it. And we have to do that by seeing it from their perspective, talking about it from their perspective. Then we've got to do some other things about branding up what we do. Do we have any IP, any methodologies people can buy into, any principles, concepts, ideas that we're trying to get people to buy into? People like to grab hold of things, and if they can't grab hold of your approach, your methodology, if they can't believe in it, it becomes intangible. And so one of the things you'll see people doing on social media a lot is talking about how their method solves a problem. So my method is called ohms. It's about eliminating resistance. Electrical resistance is measured in ohms. My system is called ohms because it helps you reduce the resistance between you and your perfect fit clients. And I talk about the way to build demand, the way to get leads and clients is to think about it in 4 areas. I'm doing a webinar on this on Friday. Your offer, is it clearly positioned well? Is it solving a problem? Is it getting people to a result? What's the gap? Then context of high intent audience. Who has that problem? Who can pay to fix that problem? Who are the easiest people to find with that problem? High intent audience. Then it's the magnetic message. How do we get under their skin, talk about it from their perspective, add value from their perspective, but make it obvious we're about this problem, this outcome, this gap, and we've got a process, a method to get people through it. Then it's systems, a system to repeatedly get leads and clients and the daily habits and rituals that you need to do to get that to do it without ads, without spammy pitches, without going viral, without needing millions of followers, and without spending hours and hours and hours online. That's my approach. And I can fix a client or help a client build something using those four sections, because they build a revenue engine in a business. The offer, the audience, the message, and the system. Those things build everything. Those things are the key things that are going wrong for most people. So do you have some methodology? Do you have some proof? Do you have the backup of the substance behind what you're doing? But is it positioned? Is it branded up? Does it have a name? Does it have something that makes it easy to talk about? Yeah. What's your way? What's your methodology? What's your approach? Then we come into the real psychology. Yeah. So people will work with you because they think you're worth it over and above everybody else. So that's about really proving it works, showing people you've done this and you've got this result, you've closed this gap for other people, not just, hey, I can help you. Show people you've closed the gap. Now, here's where people go wrong. Processes, methodologies, IP does not create demand. It solidifies people's confidence in you. It's not going to create demand in itself. So if you say, I've got this 4-step methodology that helps you get leads and clients, they don't care. They care about their problem, their outcome, and the gap. They care about your process, your methodology, your IP when they see that closes that gap. They only care about you. They only care about your methods, your approach, your style, your everything when they realize it closes that gap. So leading with logic, selling process, all of that actually doesn't help you. Likewise, not having a methodology doesn't help you, but leading with the methodology is the way to sell it, is not the way to do it. Now, the other thing, and this is a tough one, think about the people who are in demand. In fact, I want you to do an exercise for this. I can't give you a download worksheet because this is a podcast, but I want to give you an exercise, right? Imagine you're the foremost expert, right, in the world at what you do. There's nobody better, right? Think about that. Now think about how you approach the way you do things. Does it line up? The way you generate leads, the way you talk about your business, the way you talk about yourself, the way you talk about what you do in your business, the way you talk about your clients, the way they talk about the results. Does it line up with you being the foremost expert on this topic in the world? Does it line up? Because if it doesn't, it means that you're undermining your level of expertise. Sometimes and I'm terrible for doing this, but I have a bigger platform than most, so I can be a bit more flexible. But if you've not got a big platform, I'm not saying you be heartless or you be a diva, but I'm saying how you carry yourself, how you present yourself, how you communicate about yourself, the confidence you put into what you do. It's not just about slick branding. It's about how you communicate, how you talk about what you do, how you talk about your business. Is it confident? Is it doubtful? Is it clear? What are you giving off to the world? Are you positioning yourself? Would people pick up on the fact that you don't need them? It's amazing. Something that happens when you're really busy and you don't need things, people come your way. But when you look needy, people look the other way. So I know you might not like this, but it's true. Like if people think that you're very exclusive, if people think that there might be a queue and they might not be able to work with you, they want to work with you more. So think about how you do your inquiry forms. Do you ask some questions? Do you increase the barriers a little bit just so that it becomes more exclusive? Yeah. It's so strange that this works this way, but humans are not logical. We're not logical, and that's why. So here's your homework this week. I want you to go back through your business, go back and go, in the activities that I'm doing, when I look at all the things I'm doing, does it look like from the outside world, I am the foremost expert at what I do? Go and strip it back. Look at your offer. Look at the transformation you're offering to people. What is it? Have you defined it? What's the problem you're solving? Yeah. What's the emotional language that you're using around what you do? The things that people are feeling in the problem, the desires that people have. Are you putting that emotional language in there? Are you starting to tell those stories of where they are now, where they want to be, and the gap? Or are you just giving tips and features and this how-tos? Or are you talking to where they want to be and that tension between those two worlds? Are you exposing the gap to them? Have you created a framework, a process, some IP around how you solve this problem so that people can grab hold of it and it feels more tangible to them? This is how you start getting people queuing up for you. This is how you get people wanting to work with you. It's not just about posting and hoping it all comes together. It's about really understanding that problem, that outcome and the gap, and then talking about that so people can feel it, showing your methodology, your approach in the context of that problem, that outcome, that gap, so that they can see how this becomes valuable. Getting that emotion in there. I can promise you right now, your clients will have the logical part of their brain telling them all the facts and figures of all the stuff about their problem and their outcome and the gap. But what will move them to take action is when you start talking about how it feels to them. Use the words they're using. Yeah. Resonate with them on a side-by-side level going, yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling. That's exactly how it seems to me. Showing that really does make a difference. And then you prolifically do that. That's how you create the demand. That's how you get people queuing up to want to work with you. So this week, go and strip back your offer. Find the transformation, the gap, the change, right? Build out that emotional language and start doing those before and after style stories. Where they are now, where they want to be, and the gap between them, and brand up your methodology so people can own it, investigate it, understand it, and make it more tangible so it feels more real to people than just, hey, I can help you do this with coaching, all right? Hey, I can help you do this with a piece of SaaS. What is it? What does it do? What's the methodology of how it solves the problem so that people can grab hold of it and understand it better? If you've enjoyed this podcast, why don't you sign up for my email newsletter, Signal, where we go into this stuff in more practicality, in more depth, and actually unpack it into tangible, actionable stuff you can do. So go head over to Signal. You'll find the link in the descriptions anywhere where you're listening to this, and get the actionable frameworks to implement everything we talk about on the podcast.